Can a realtor refer to her faith on her business website? That is what is at stake in Virginia right now. A Christian realtor is suing the state's real estate board after it charged her with violating fair housing laws. The problem, she put the Bible verse John 3:16 on her website and used phrases like Jesus loves you in her email signatures. Dale Hurd has more.
Heather, this began when the Virginia Real Estate Board filed a complaint against realtor Hadassah Carter, saying that because she's using religious speech, she could make someone feel discriminated against. The American Center for Law and Justice has filed a lawsuit on Carter's behalf, charging the state real estate board with violating her First Amendment rights and calling this an attack on free speech and basic religious liberty. The ACLJ says there have been no actual complaints against Hadassah Carter for discrimination. She has a diverse clientele of Jews, Catholics, Muslims, Buddhists, Kenyans, and Vietnamese. Not a single allegation of religious discrimination was made against her. The ACLJ says that while the Virginia Real Estate Board has dropped its initial complaint against Hadassah, it forced her employer to enter into an agreement to monitor her and report back on her religious expression. The ACLJ says the Supreme Court has made it clear that that's blatantly unconstitutional, that laws about commercial speech cannot discriminate on the basis of viewpoint. This is exactly what the real estate regulatory boards are doing when they prohibit realtors from talking about God. Ms. Carter was ultimately forced to resign rather than compromise her Christian faith. She was not able to comment while the case is before the courts. We also contacted the Virginia Real Estate Board, both by phone and email, asking for a response and got none. Back to you, Heather.
And for more on what's happening with this case, CBN's George Thomas spoke with Matt Clark, senior counsel at the ACLJ.
Has she broken any laws?
She absolutely has not broken any laws. She is merely exercising her First Amendment right. She's had no complaints filed against her by anyone alleging that she has done anything discriminatory. Yet the Virginia Realtor Board has come after her, has targeted her, has harassed her, and is discriminating against her. And that's why we filed this lawsuit.
I'm curious, has Ms. Carter refused to, for example, represent Jews, Muslims, or atheists as her clients?
She has quite a diverse clientele of Jews, atheists, Muslims, you name it. Anybody who's come to her for service, she has provided excellent service and found them a home or helped them sell their home. It's what she does. It's what she does for a living. All she wants to do is share the love of Jesus, to act in a Christ-like manner, to serve those who she is in business with, and that's exactly what she's done. Yet for simply having words like Jesus loves you, and for having a Bible verse on her website, for saying Jesus loves you in her email signature, she's now been targeted. She is the victim of religious discrimination. It is direct violation of both the First Amendment, several statutes in Virginia, as well as the Virginia religious freedom statutes and the Constitution of Virginia. This is a very important case. We're seeing more of these kinds of targeted discrimination against Christians in the name of stopping discrimination. And that's what's so absurd about this case, is they're actually doing to her what they falsely claim she has done.
Speaking about this case, what are you asking the court to do in the lawsuit you filed on Ms. Carter's behalf?
Well, there's a number of things. One is to stop harassing her, first and foremost, to let her continue in her business, her livelihood, without threat of future harassment. Another is this case is actually even more absurd because while they filed a complaint, a religious discrimination complaint against her, the board did, they then went and dropped that complaint, which you would think is a good thing. But they turned around and used that to force her employer, the brokers that she works for as a realtor, to sign an agreement that they would monitor her and report back to the real estate board every year on any religious speech that she utters or engages in as a realtor, as the board would follow her around and look for a way to file another complaint against her. So when she was presented with not being able to use Jesus loves you on her email addresses and not being able to place John 3:16 on her website and other such phrases, she decided to resign from that company because that company was now in an obligation to the state to monitor her. So then she had to find somewhere else to work for. So we're asking them to remove those restrictions, to never again do this kind of discrimination and target it against a Christian, to go after their employer, to force them to monitor an employee for their religious speech is absolutely absurd. So we're asking for that to stop. We're asking for the harassment and the discrimination to stop. And we're also asking for the statute itself to be looked at, to be overturned, because on its face, it almost allows for this kind of behavior.
So you have filed a lawsuit. Do you think the Virginia Real Estate Board will back down, or do you think they will let this one go all the way to trial?
Well, it looks like right now this is going all the way to trial. We've been engaged with the board. We have presented the case to the board in a reasonable manner where they should not be attempting to come after her, but they've refused to back down. And so we filed our lawsuit. We'll see them in court. And we believe that both the U.S. Constitution, the Virginia Constitution, and Virginia's statutes are clearly on Hadassah's side. Ms. Carter should not be the target of religious discrimination. In fact, in this case, she was actually reaching out to the board, the Realtor board, on behalf of one of her clients who was facing actual racial discrimination. And it was the email that she sent to the board where they saw her signature and her signature line that included Jesus loves you, that they then began to target Ms. Carter, as opposed to resolving the situation that Ms. Carter was actually trying to help one of her clients.
Yeah, wow, okay, we'll have to leave it there. Matt Clark with the ACLJ, thanks so much for joining us today, and keep us updated on this case, please.
Jesus is God.